hip openers. And so let's start by coming down into the back to start with. It's always a good thing to do. And oh yes, and I did forget to mention that blocks, belts, always a good yoga accessory to have. And you might even need a blanket if you've got a hard floor today, because we're going to come into sort of a wide-legged child's pose as well, which opens the hips. And it's called frog. But yeah, so when we start off in this practice, any yoga practice really, it's good to come to a standstill. It's good to come to some rest position. And what better way to do that than is to lie down and bring the knees into the chest and then gently massaging the lower back into the ground, moving the back from side to side, allowing then the feet to come onto the floor. And just having the feet far enough away from the body so that the muscles can relax. So we're not having the feet right up here as if we're going to come into bridge. We're going to have them out there and then give them a bit of a shake. Sort of like that, let the muscles and just release a little bit. And I would like to give the body a bit of a shake. That's always any excuse really for me. And then placing the right hand on the belly and the left hand on the heart. And as we lie here, we're bringing the chin towards the chest slightly, keeping the back of the head on the floor, but this helps to lengthen the back of the neck. And then again, what we can do is move the head from side to side. That's always nice. Just anything that you can feel just to release. And then we'll come into stillness. So let the physical body be still. Close the eyes if that's okay with you. Gently closing the eyes. And breathe. So breathing into the belly. And release. So just allowing the breath to be long and smooth. And the next 3 breaths. Breathe deeply in and deeply out. So by allowing the belly to rise and fall with the breath, we're starting to move the diaphragm, getting the diaphragm more involved with the breath. Starting to just gently massage as well the abdominal organs. It just gives everything a little bit of a very, very gentle squeeze. And by bringing the diaphragm more into play, to me anyway, it feels like, you know, there could be something holding on in the diaphragm. And it just starts to release any tension, any trapped emotion in there. For me at least. Just a suggestion. The practice today is about opening the hips, just getting some gentle movement in the hips. And I kind of been reading around this, and I'm on an esoteric level, if you like, then the hips do hold a lot of emotion, and they say there's a relationship between hip movement and relationships. I'm not sure about that, but it's just a thought. But whatever is happening in the hips, it's this is the area which is involved with fight or flight response. So if we're in a particular situation and we need to get out of there quick, then the hips come into action, and maybe, just maybe, some of that response could be stored in the hips. And so these hip openers will help to release any of that sort of trapped energy, trapped emotion. On a deeper level, or maybe just in the physical level, it'll just make the hips, give the hips a bit of a workout. So you can decide how deep you want to go into these things, what you want to believe, what you don't. It's not about belief or disbelief, it's about feelings, states. And then on the next breath in, we're going to reach up and over the head with both arms. So really nicely stretching the arms above the head. And as you exhale, bringing the arms back down by the side of the body. So keeping the head on the floor, just breathing in. And exhaling, arms down. So this movement in itself is beautiful movement, really. It's very simple. We're coordinating the movement with the breath, and maybe you can feel the opening in the rib cage as the arms come all the way up. Movement in the shoulders, obviously. But allowing this movement to be a dance, don't let it be mechanical. We're not kind of trying to get as many sort of arm movements as we can. We're not in a gym. We're just taking a bit of time out with ourselves and the body. Just enjoying that on a deeper, more nurturing level. And then next time the arms are up above the head, we're going to keep them there, and then we're going to stretch out the legs. So stretching out the legs along the ground and just pressing the right heel and the right fingertips out, so finding length in the right side, and then release, and then left heel and left fingertips. So just moving right side, left side, finding that length, beautiful length. Open and imagine that all of the space that's created between the joints and within the joints. Just breathing deeply as you like. As if you've woken up from a giant slumber, and then bringing the knees into the chest and massaging the lower back into the floor. And placing the right hand on the right knee, left hand on the left. And as you inhale, you're going to press the knees away. And as you exhale, bringing the knees back in to the chest. So just moving the knees away with the inhale and bringing them back on the exhale. And of course, this is encouraging some movement in the hips, and it's also squeezing the abdomen as you bring the thighs into them. And it's also about coordinating with the breath. So having some awareness on the breath. And if you're familiar with the Ujjayi breath, where you raise the glottis slightly, so you're making sort of wave sounds, as you breathe in and out. So a very quiet wave sounds as you breathe in and out. That helps the meditation aspect of this movement as well. And then next time the knees are into the chest, what we're going to do is separate the knees out to the side and then starting to circle the knees. So remembering this is about movement in the hip joints, circular movements. So starting small and then gradually getting bigger and bigger. Interested in this range of movements. Is it smooth or is it bumpy? Is it curvy or is it angular? And the hips. Just noticing if there's anything going on, sort of deep in the hip muscles where we are there. And then next time the knees are together and into the chest, we're going to start to circle the knees away. So circle the knees the other way, so pressing the knees away, then separating, and then big circle. Just checking into the breath, checking into the mind. So this is about spending a little bit of time in the body, with the body and the breath. Just make this the last one. And with any of these practices, just consider one breath at a time. One breath at a time. Having that awareness. And then hugging the knees into the chest. And then really nice stretch the entire length of the body. Right side, left side. We're going to just open the hamstrings slightly now. So we're going to do this by going to get the belt, and so first of all we're going to come onto the right side at first. So both feet flat on the floor and then hugging the right knee in towards the chest, and then either using a belt around the widest part of the foot and pressing that leg up into the air. So you can either do that with a belt or you can clasp behind the thigh with the hands. But using a belt is good because it encourages the shoulders and the elbows to release into the ground. The head is on the ground. I'm just looking up to look at you lot. And so the main thing with this is having the leg kind of vertical but not straight isn't as beneficial as, first of all, having a leg straight out. So it could be a pretty jaunty angle depending on your flexibility. So having it at sort of 45 degrees straight is probably more beneficial than having it vertical but bent. And eventually the leg will come straight. Will come vertical, should I say? Be straight first and then vertical. And then to take it on a little bit further, you can straighten the other leg out. But keeping that foot active, and just straightening the other leg out gives it a little bit more intensity. And wherever you are in this, again, be with the breath. So this helps us to come into some awareness, some stillness. And the physical postures in yoga, the asana, they're really an entrance, or one type of entrance into yoga. And it's using the physical body and then using the breath to an extent to start to move inside and to start to find stillness. So we start with moving the body, and then stilling the body, and stilling the mind, and then eventually we transcend the mind. Well, that's not for today, or it could be for today. And then release there. So release that leg, just hugging the knee back into the chest. And we're going to bring the left foot so it's flat on the floor. And then we're going to do some gentle hip openers here. So this is a reclined pigeon pose. It's affecting the back of the hip, maybe. But the main thing with this posture is to find that foot is active. So we're not, if you can see that, we're not sort of releasing that foot and letting it fall loose. We're making that ankle active, because what that does is it engages the muscle just below the knee and the shin, and so it stops the knee twisting, and it transfers this posture, this opening into the hip rather than twisting of the knee. So we're pressing the right knee away, and then to take it on a little bit further, we can sort of thread our hand through and clasp behind the left thigh. So the left knee is coming towards you, the right knee is moving away. And then you can bring the further across, you bring that left knee to the left side or towards the left shoulder, the stronger you might find it is in that hip joint in the back of the right hip. To move it on, if you wanted to, you could hold around the left shin. But wherever you are, just having an awareness on the right hip, the back of the right hip, and just feeling that beautiful opening. So as in all of these postures, dull aches are good, sharp pains are bad. That is the kind of rule book, the Ladybird book of yoga. Dull ache good, sharp pain bad. Remember that. And from there, let's release the legs and just giving the whole body a bit of a shake off there. Just taking a few moments to be aware of the feeling in the right side compared to the left. And now we're going to come on to the other side. So we're starting off with both feet flat on the floor, and then hugging the left knee into the chest this time. And then pressing that left heel up into the air. So we can either use the belt around the widest part of the foot, or we can use the hands around the back of the thigh. But the main thing is not to introduce any tension. So if you're finding that there's kind of lots of tension and the elbows are up, and that's not as good. That's not as beneficial as just really releasing, just relaxing the shoulders. And then the advantage of using the belt is that you can bring that foot down towards the body a little bit more, and you get a bit more of an opening as well on that the back of the calf. So, as before, straight leg first, and then we come into a vertical position. And any of these postures, I do like to take my time going through these. I really do. And but 5 breaths is good. It's a good amount of time. As long as they're long, smooth breaths, we're not doing 5 quick pants and getting on with it. That's not going to get you any deeper. Just about spending a bit of time with yourself. I'm going to look inside. And I make that about 5 breaths. Of course, you did have I forgot to mention, but you could have straightened out the right leg to intensify this, but you knew that already. And if you have got a straight right leg, then now bend it, bring the foot flat on the floor, and let's just rest the left ankle this time over the right knee, keeping that foot engaged, protecting the knee joint by engaging that muscle in the top side of the shin. So pressing that left knee away, and then taking it on. If you wanted to, you could clasp behind the right thigh, bringing the right knee over towards the right shoulder, pressing that left knee away and really feeling into the back of that hip. Lovely opening that we've got there. So just preparing to release from there and really opening the whole body up once more. And the final bit of this sequence now is to just simply bring the feet in towards the body. So as close to the body as you can get. We're going to come into a gentle bridge. And then just feet are parallel, but just make sure you can see the outer edges of the feet by the side of the hips. So you can just about have a bit of a peek at them. Keeping the knees sort of moving towards each other as we do this, not letting them sort of splay out to the side. Placing the hands on the floor, palms facing down, head back on the floor if you're looking up, and then just gently lifting the sacrum off the ground, sort of lower, really sort of back of the pelvis off the ground, like tucking the tailbone under, and then release that. And as you breathe in, just a little bit higher up, so maybe a couple of vertebrae into the lower back, and then down, and then a little bit higher. So over about, let's say, 6 or 8 breaths, we're using the control, we're starting to engage the abdominals, and we're pressing the feet into the ground, and eventually we'll just unzip the spine vertebrae by vertebrae from the floor. And this starts to get the brain to talk to the muscles in around the abdomen. A little bit of a massage going on as well. There's always a few other benefits to be had from this sort of stuff. And then eventually we're going to come all the way up to the top. We're going to hold it there for 5 breaths. So with this, we're going to really press the hips up. Maybe you can feel this opening the front of the thighs, strong through the hip, front of the hips, top of the thighs. The chest is opening. A gentle back bend. And then just release down, just vertebrae by vertebrae, using that control as you gently zip the spine back into the ground. And once more, let's give ourselves a bit of a stretch off. Right side, left side. And let's just come up into a seated position. Okay. So that just sort of completes the sort of first sort of part of this practice, starting to get a bit of energy flowing, loosening in the hips. Okay, so I'm going to move it on now. So coming over onto all fours, and this is where actually you may need a blanket, or if you've got a nice thick carpet, then that's absolutely fine, because we're going to be in a position where it is like a child's pose, but with the knees really wide. So I'm just going to hold it. So it's a little bit of a yin yoga practice. So we're going to sort of have the knees pretty wide here, if you can, and then when this gets into the hips, and the sort of feet, maybe the toes are touching. And so from there, we're gonna, guess what? I've got a bit of cramp in my foot. Wish I'd have drank more water earlier. What's going on there? So what we're gonna do is just come down into this child's pose. So maybe allowing the chest to release down to the floor. Maybe the chin. Maybe you're resting on something if you've got your blocks handy. So the knees are as wide as they'll go. And let's just stay here for 5 breaths. So it's a really nice practice. You could be on your knees, like you could be on your what are they called? Elbows. They're called elbows and things there. You could be on the elbows, and we're just allowing the chest to droop down like a saggy, the spine's like a saggy washing line. The forehead could be on the floor. Maybe the chest is sinking down, but whichever position you're in, you're breathing into the hips. So it could be quite strong through the hip joint, the front of the hips in particular. It's all good practice to get this these hips open, and because we're not moving, because we've just introduced a little bit of yin yoga here, because the hips are moving, then we can really sort of make this into a meditation and just noticing the muscles around the hip joints. Maybe they're trying to stop this movement. But this gets into a deeper connective tissue in the hips. But be present with that sensation, whatever it may be. So the mind is kind of not really into any of this sort of stuff. It wants to get the hell out of here. Bit of a fight or flight sort of moment, maybe. But just being present with that. We're yogis, remember. We can be present in the eye of the storm. And then from there, so obviously in your own practice, you could hold this for as long as you like. It's very Moorish after a while, but I've got to kind of keep this moving on now. So let's just gently bring the elbows a little bit closer, bending the arms, and just gently coming out of this, and just easing the knees towards each other. And from there, let's just press back into downward facing dog to, it's kind of a counter pose. We're going to just walk out the dog, so straightening one leg, bending the other, just moving from side to side, swinging the hips, and really it's a kind of quality of the movement is about just counterposing what we've just done there, just finding some balance in the body. After that, quite a strong frog posture, wide-legged child's pose, and then straightening both legs and pressing the heels and just looking towards the knees so you can lengthen the back of the neck, and then from there let's just release the knees down, coming back into child's pose momentarily, and then up onto all fours, and let's start to move the back. So we're going to arch the back like an angry cat, tucking the tailbone under, tucking the chin in. As you breathe in, we're lifting the chest and eventually lifting the sitting bones. So just moving in and out of this cat-cow tilt with the breath, just riding the wave up and down the spine. And then just come into a flat back position. Tucking the toes under here. And then let's come into a kneeling position. So bringing the feet together and knees together and getting all of the toes into play. Maybe you can nudge the knees back to get a little bit of extra opening in the back of the feet. Interlink the fingers and breathe. Open the chest, lengthening up through the spine and releasing down, nudging the fingers one way and the other, and then opening, tucking the tailbone under as well, not letting the backside stick out too much. Which sort of hyperextending the lower back, and release from there, and then flattening the feet. So opening up from the knee all the way to the toes, fingertips on the ground if you want to take this a bit further, and then pressing the fingertips in, lifting the knees, not for everybody. Just another opening. Just you be the judge of the benefit of that for your body. And from there, I'm going to step forward with the right leg. So stepping forward with that right foot. So we're in a long lunge position. And let's just bring the fingertips onto the ground. So we're supporting ourselves with the fingertips, or you might be on a block as well there. So wherever you are, just seeing if you can release the pelvis down. And again, just noticing the effect this has on the hip joint. It's all good preparatory practice for the king pigeon. So with any of these sort of postures, you don't want to go straight into king pigeon from cold. It's definitely not the recommended route. So you got to walk the verdant pastures first, gentle incline up into the mountain, the mountainous precipice that is king pigeon. I know it's beautiful language I use, it paints a picture. And then from there, let's raise the arms up into the air. Crescent moon, beautiful. Opening in the chest, the back bend, the sternum lifts, and then you can look up to between the hands. But be careful not to throw the head back. Just keeping that neck nice and long. Always a good idea. And then release from there. So from here, we're going to switch legs. And so depending on how you want to do this, if you want to do this soft shoe shuffle without shoes, then we can do that. So it's good. Excellent. If you want to be more sensible about it, then that's even better. But what I'll do is I'll move around so you can see what I'm doing. So we're in this position now with the left foot forward. So it's between the hands, long lunge. And as you can see, my hips are moving down. Fingertips. That's giving us some support, or you could be on a block if you wanted to. But you'll notice that I'm not putting too much weight at all through my front leg as such. So we're so in this case, the knee can come beyond the ankle. But not always recommended if you're really doing some serious weight bearing. And then from there, starting to lift the chest and then open. So the palms of the hand can be facing forwards and upwards, sort of towards where the wall and ceiling join, and you can be looking there. But it's absolutely beautiful posture because we've got it in the hips, and we've also got this chest opening, so a little bit of an upper back bend going on. And breathe, obviously, breathe. And release from there. And one more time, let's just step back into our downward facing dog, or you could come into a cat-cow tilt, as we did before. But just be in this downward facing dog, walking out. So whichever posture you prefer to be in, to just counterbalance this movement that we've just done, this strong hip opener for a restorative session. And if you're in downward dog, then looking towards the knees. Always remember to look towards the knees, finding that length in the back of the neck. And then walking the feet into the hands and the hands towards the feet. And we're in this ragdoll forward bend. So knees are bent enough so that the belly is resting on the thighs. And then you can release the shoulders, shoulders release, the head releases. Really quite nice to sort of maybe do a little bit of a swoosh from side to side with the knuckles on the floor. And then coming back into a little bit of stillness there. Eventually you can be down here as long as you like. And then let's roll gently up the spine, stacking the vertebrae one by one. And then coming up to the top. And if there's any dizziness, then keeping the chin tucked in. And let's bring the feet so that they're hip width apart, feet are parallel. And closing the eyes just for a few moments before moving on. So we're being still now, we're creating a bit of stillness. We've done some moving in the body, just allowing the awareness to descend into the soles of the feet with every exhale, connecting with the earth. With every inhale, the body grows taller, gently engaging, just gently engaging the emphasis in the belly, lifting the sternum, shoulders moving downwards and backwards slightly to open the chest. The head is nicely balanced on the neck. Face is soft. Checking into the forehead in particular and the crown of the head. And just breathing gently in and gently out. So it's getting a sense of the body being open. And we can use the the breath to do that. The yoga postures that we've practiced starts to do that. The mind wanders in any way, then just gently bring it back. Being kind to yourself. If you feel frustrated by that, then being kind to the frustration. It doesn't know any better. And then lowering the chin to the chest. Open the eyes. And lifting the gaze. Okay, so just giving the body a bit of a shake off now. So lots of hip movements in today's practice, and lots of floor sequences as well. What I'd like to do now is that, and again, this is where you may need a block or two, because we're going to come down into a squat. So just be mindful of your knees. So again, all the practices which I do it's about exploring the body. It's not about trying to get into any particular exotic posture. It's about taking a bit of time out, and so let's come down into a squat. So you might, when you first come down, want to lift the heels. That's absolutely fine, or you could be having a block actually under the heels is really good support, and so that's actually quite a comfortable place to be for me. When I go and stand by the riverbank, I always kind of stand on a bit of a slope, and I can just be here and be like this and whatever. But let's be nice and kind of upright in our posture. And if that is too much, if it's quite, this being here is quite strong, but just you be the judge of where you want to be with this. So squatting is good, highly recommended. And then from there, we're going to come into a forward bend. So you might just want to move your blocks and then come into a forward bend. So let's just come halfway down. Let's not be here. Let's be halfway. And then we can, so hands sort of just below the knees or just above. We're not kind of pressing down. We're not using them for massive support in a sense. And breathe in, lengthen the front of the body, and leaning forward slightly. So by simply bringing the weight forward, keeping the heels down, but bring the weight forward, then we are opening up the backs of the legs. And then from there, I'm going to bend the knees. And then coming down into our squat. So either with the heels down or on a block, that's really good. So wherever you are, sort of be in a kind of nice and upright position, sort of a sattvic position, I think they would call this. So we're kind of just in our peak. We're not in a sort of Tomasic sort of thing, or too spicy. We're kind of just in a nice sort of purposeful position. If you wanted to, you can separate the knees out slightly. Maybe you could bring the sort of elbows kind of separating the knees a little bit. And then from there, let's come back into our forward bend. So this combination of forward bend and squat is always good. And it's highly recommended. I like to introduce yoga into my sort of daily life. So this kind of combination, if you imagine you're watching your halloumi grilling, then you could sort of keep your eye on it by doing a forward bend, and then you could come down into a squat, and nobody would realize that you're doing yoga, but you're doing the yoga of halloumi grilling. It doesn't have to be halloumi. You could anything grilling is fine. For the purpose of this session, only non-meat products should be grilling, but that's absolutely fine. You know, it's a free country, whatever you do in your own kitchen. And then coming back into this forward bend, I think the halloumi is almost done now. The tomatoes are nicely bubbling away. And bending the knees. And we're going to come up in a flat back position, so soften the knees, bending them, but we're engaging the glutes, the thighs are engaged, and we're going to lifting it up, all the way up. And finding this length, and if there's any dizziness in this, we've been down for quite a while, if there's any dizziness, the chin tucks in, and then opening the chest. Lifting the chest, and then releasing the arms down to the side. And a final bit we're going to introduce is very gentle balance here. So feet hip width apart, coming right up onto the balls of the feet, raising the arms up into the air, opening the chest. And then arms more upright. If you wobble, then come up, and then let's just do a little bit of sway from side to side. And then open the chest once more, and floating the arms all the way down. The heels land at the same time as our hands touch the thighs. Give yourself a bit of a shake off. And then just gently closing the eyes. Feeling the ground underneath the feet. Enjoying the breath. Maybe a gentle heat in the body. Temperature of the air on the skin. Any sounds around you. Whatever sensation there is, internal, external. Be with it, but don't be disturbed or involved with it. And lowering the chin to the chest. Open the eyes. And lift the gaze. Okay, so we're going to now come to the final part of this session. So we're going to come into a seated meditation, or you can come straight down into Shavasana if that's preferable for you. And if you're going to be seated, then having a couple of blocks is good. Having them at this sort of angle so that helps to sort of tilt the pelvis. Show you like this. So sort of sitting in this sort of position, that's, or if you've got a cushion or a stool, that's equally good. So let's sit nice and tall. And today's practice has been, for me, it's about kind of spaciousness in the hips, somewhere that it doesn't really receive that much space, maybe, generally. I'm going to adjust myself so my head is in line with the rainbow. That's my OCD coming in. There we go. Almost there. That'll do. So sitting tall and having the hands either on the knees or in a mudra if you wanted to, palm down or palm up, got the hands stacked. Today I'm happy with it like this. So having the head resting on the neck and shoulders. And let's just initially connect with the breath and connect with the ground underneath the body. So the earth is fully supporting physical body. It's also interacting with other more subtle layers in the body. The manifestation of consciousness, which is you, which you call you. We're a vessel for the big consciousness. Allowing big consciousness to flow through us and don't let the little consciousness, which could be interpreted as ego, to get in the way. Breathe in and allowing the spacious awareness from the sky, beyond the sky. Allow that to be recognized in the physical body. Looking beyond the physical body, deeper and deeper we go, deeper we can see with the advanced microscopes and scientific devices, and we can see that actually the atoms in which we're made up are themselves mainly space. So contemplating yourself as a vessel of big consciousness. You can either remain seated, or if you wanted to, come down onto your back. Just do so without disturbing yourself too much. For the last 5 minutes, relaxing into Shavasana. Shavasana is a posture, so if your back is okay, then you can straighten the legs and press the heels away and allowing the feet to flop out to the side. If there's any issues with your back, then keeping the legs bent. Having the arms by the side of the body with the palms facing upwards. Enough distance away from the body to allow the shoulders to release back and the chest to open slightly. Having the head on the floor, but bringing the chin towards the chest to lengthen the back of the neck. But wherever you are, just be present with the spaciousness or the quality of spaciousness in the body and mind. Using the breath as another anchor of awareness. Just becoming aware now of the weight of the body on the ground. Becoming aware of the temperature of the air on the skin. Starting to wriggle the fingers and wriggle the toes. Circling the wrists and ankles. Deepening the breath. And then when you're ready, just reaching up and over the head with both arms. Stretching out the entire length of the body. Right side, left side. Yawning out the muscles in the face. And then just gently rolling over onto your right hand side, just for a couple of moments. And coming into a simple cross-legged position. So, thanks for today. Hope you enjoyed the session, and yeah, namaste.